In this video, me and my friend decided to play one of Minecraft's most realistic modpacks, Hardrock TerraFirmaCraft 3. Its gameplay is completely different from vanilla Minecraft, so even simple tasks like chopping down a tree or making a pickaxe become major challenges. Can the two of us survive 100 days and progress through the Stone Age? Keep watching to find out. Oh, and this video is sponsored by Bisect Hosting, but more on that later. We started by joining the world and spawning on a mountain. After a bit of exploring, we found a small tent on the side of a hill, perfect for settling in. Another advantage, the average temperature of this biome is around 5 degrees, meaning it hopefully won't freeze in the winter. Since this modpack has its own seasons, we got to work quickly as wasting the current time would be a huge mistake. After settling into the tent, we completed some of the first easy quests, like collecting rocks and sticks from the ground. With these, we crafted our first tools. I made an axe, which I immediately used to chop down a tree, and a knife for cutting grass. Unfortunately, my early wins were short-lived as a skeleton appeared and, as you can probably guess, didn't end up well for me. Thankfully, I recovered my items and managed to somehow defeat. Next, we focused on building pit kilns. This involved napping a lot of unfired clay into forms, placing them into holes we dug, adding straws and logs and lighting them with a fire starting kit. While the kilns were cooking, we collected more clay. On our way home, we were attacked by wolves. As you might expect, I died again, while Diamond somehow survived. I had to distract the wolves and retrieve my items, proving once again why this is called the hardest Minecraft modpack. By the time the kilns finished, we had our cooked clay ready. Damon then worked on purifying water, so we can finally have safe drinking water and not get sick every time we drink from the pond. I turned my attention to gathering copper. I sifted through gravel in a pond for about 15 minutes until I had enough copper to make a pickaxe and a saw. Meanwhile, Diamond cooked stew and water, so when I returned, we had plenty of food. With enough straw and logs, I placed the copper in a vessel and cooked it in the pit kiln. Once it was done, I cast it into the forms we had made earlier, finally giving us a pickaxe and a saw. After 6 Minecraft days, we could finally mine stone and even craft crafting tables, though I realized we actually had one in the tent the whole time, so this really isn't that big of a victory. Diamond then started setting up an automated copper sifting system, so we no longer had to sift gravel manually. While he worked on that, I carved a stone anvil, which we will use later. Next, I tried finishing our oven, but we were missing a peel. To craft it, we needed glue, which required lime water and bone meal. See, getting lime water meant combining water and flux, which was easy enough, but we couldn't get bone meal the usual way. We had to grind it. To grind it, we needed a grinder, which required a chisel, so the process continued. I went back to mining more gravel so I could sift it for more copper, but soon ran out of food. Luckily, I managed to make a quick soup while starving, just in time, surviving yet another close call. You don't get a stop in this one. Every time something happens, I'm telling you, it's crazy now that I'm reading the script. It's just always something happens. Because I was bored of sifting gravel, I decided it was time to make some charcoal. To do this, you have to dig a hole and fill it with wood blocks. I wanted a large supply for the future, so I made the pit pretty big. Which meant I spent an entire hour, not even kidding here, alright? It was like an hour. The recording is an hour of chopping down trees and slowly filling up the hole I made. So yes, what you're seeing right now is literally an hour of my life spent filling a charcoal pit. I'd say it's worth it, okay? You can judge it in the comments. Once it was finally full, I lit it, covered everything with dirt, and now all we had to do was wait. After about 30 minutes, the whole pit should turn into charcoal, giving us a massive supply for later on. While we were waiting, I decided to explore a nearby cave, but in the end I find nothing. There was nothing at the end, but I mean caves are pretty pointless in this modpack. The ores were completely different way, you'll see in the future, but going into caves, you may only see mobs, because mobs don't spawn on the top of the world, on the surface, they only spawn in the caves, so no more caves, okay? Thankfully I didn't find any mobs here, but I also found nothing. Whatever. I also tried sifting for a bit more copper, but I got bored pretty quickly, so we decided it was finally time to find an actual copper vein. See, this is what I'm talking about. There are spawn in the veins in this modpack. So that meant running around the world and searching the surface for copper rocks. After a while, Diamond managed to find malachite, which smelts into copper. He collected all the small pieces from the surface and brought them back to base, where we started working on the charcoal forge. To build it, we needed 5 raw stone. The easiest way to get those is by causing controlled cave-ins. When rock collapsed, they dropped raw stone instead of cobblestone. It took us a while to figure it out, but eventually we got all 5 stones we needed. By this point our charcoal was finished, so we took 7 pieces and filled this forge. When we placed the last charcoal in, the furnace GUI opened, which meant we had built it correctly. See, the first time we tried this, we used cobblestone and yeah, it didn't work, so we were like, okay, we probably need the normal stone, so yeah, it won't work with cobblestone, okay? I also made a small tool rack so we could store our tools properly instead of throwing everything on the ground. From Diamond's point of view, he worked on a grindstone, although we're still missing the second part, which will take some time to get. Back to the charcoal forge, we fired it up and smelted enough copper to make a prospector's pick, which is used to locate ore veins. Diamond poured the molten copper into the cast, and just like that, we had our prospector's pick. With this, we officially reached the next stage of the modpack, at least in my opinion, alright? We're still in the Stone Age and we are still probably gonna be there the entire 100 days. Not even joking, okay? So, the new stage unlocked. Today's goal was finally to start mining copper. Diamond ran around using the prospector's pick and found the best spot for malachite. With that information, I started digging, but don't get ahead, okay? In this modpack, mining is a completely different experience. Without supports, the tunnel can collapse and literally bury you alive. I crafted some supports and carefully dug my way down, searching for malachite. And after almost an hour, I finally found it. See, in this modpack, it's not that easy, okay? You can't just make a quick staircase, quick rounded staircase down. No, you gotta place supports every 3 blocks. Otherwise, it's all on you. It all collapses. So, it took a while, but not even kidding. It was probably around an hour if it's in the script. It just took a long time, okay? It's pretty annoying. While I was mining, Diamond was busy automating the sluice, which is used to wash ores from rocks. This was perfect for processing the malachite I found underground. I mined as much as I could before heading back to base to drop everything off. Diamond took the ore and shoved it straight into the sluice. When I tried to head back to mining though, we ran into this wolf that had already killed us multiple times. We tried to finally take him down, but as you can probably guess, like every other time, it got us. So we died again and decided, you know what, it's not worth it, we're not killing it, we gotta do it next time, okay? So after several attempts, we barely managed to escape. And the wolf is still out there. Well, we need to deal with that guy, it's so annoying. To finish things off, I made our first wooden hopper, which Diamond used to automate the sluice even further. Now we can just drop the items in and they'll automatically get picked up, and once they're done washing, they're there. Easy, don't even have to AFK it. Mining. Yeah, I went mining again for more malachite, but this time things took a bit of a drastic turn, okay? After a while I accidentally mined a section that wasn't properly supported, and you can probably think what happened. Yeah, the entire mine collapsed on me. How? I don't know. See, whenever you're mining, there are these particles that are dropping from blocks that aren't supported. Well, there were no particles on this block. So, you know what, it's like, well, I'm gonna mine it, right? I wanted to place a support. This was the last block before I will put the support. I mined it, bam, just like that, the entire mine is on me. How I survived, it's beyond me, okay? No idea. But I also had no idea why the block didn't have those particles. Whatever, I'm just ranting. I need to get back to script, but it's so annoying, okay? I'm still mad. Somehow I survived. I already said that. Maybe I should follow the script. Getting out was not easy to say the least, but hey, at least dude, I can't write script. The collapse opened up a faster path back into the mines. Small win. Yeah, great. While all that chaos was happening, Diamond, oh, that guy, he was working with a malachite I had mined earlier. When I finally made it back home, we put enough malachite into a vessel and placed it into the charcoal forge. After it finished smelting, we poured it into a chisel mold, completing yet another quest, and more importantly, crafting one of the most crucial tools in the game, the chisel. Well, it's not really the most important, okay, it's used for like one recipe, but for us, oh, this item, it was the most important thing, because we could finally make the millstone. Hey, sorry to interrupt the video, but are you looking for a cheap but reliable Minecraft server? Well, we've been playing on one the entire video and it worked wonders. Get your own Minecraft server with 25% off by clicking the link below or using the code on the screen, and check out Bisect Hosting. They offered great performance, easy setup and everything you need to start your Minecraft server today. That's it, that's all from me. You can watch the video now. This chisel let us make smooth stone, which is the final block we need to craft for the quern. And the quern, that's the grinder. That's I didn't know the name before, so I was calling the grinder. I don't know. It's the quern, okay? If you're wondering why we even need a quern, don't worry. Not gonna tell you. No, I'm kidding. Earlier, I mentioned that we needed bone meal for glue. Well, the quern is one of the easiest ways for us to grind bones right now. But that's actually not the main reason we want it. The real reason is that the quern allows us to crush dirty chunks of malachite and turn them directly into copper. This is way better than only using the sluice. With the sluice, we don't always get clean chunks, so we often have to put aside the dirty malachite. We cannot do anything with it. So using the quern, we can process the dirty malachite chunks instead of throwing them into a chest and losing on copper this way. With that progress made, I started working on beehives, and oh boy, I hate beehives, since it's also one of the quests. The main reason we need beehives is for bee wax. Bee wax is used in a lot of recipes, okay? But the most important one for us right now is wax-treated lumber. This is required for many important builds, especially cellars and greenhouses, which will make managing food much easier in the future. Oh, speaking of food, look at me, unlocked another heart. Woohoo! Yeah, back to the beehives. I hate them, okay? Already said it, we'll say it again. We had the beehives in there sitting for so long before they caught a bee. It's so annoying, we got so unlucky with them. Okay, back to the script. To make the beehives, I also needed a lot of string. So I crafted a crook and started breaking leaves to collect worms. I use those worms to infect more leaves, and once they fully spread, I can harvest them to get string. Slow, painful, but it's pretty effective, okay? And while I was working on the beehives, Diamond was busy with the quern, okay? By being busy, I mean he just set up straight up an auto clicker and he went out. Gone. That guy was long gone, okay? He was just auto clicking the quern like it was the most important thing in his life. And I was there silently sitting, doing my work on those stupid beehives, okay? Once all the quarrying was done, he upgraded the sluice system by adding an extra sluice and a hopper, basically doubling our processing speed. After that, he crafted a loom and a spindle, which are used to make a wool yarn. That means we're finally getting close to making a bed, and hopefully we'll be able to sleep soon again. At the same time, I started working on a strainer. After a few simple crafts, I placed it into a pond and waited. Thankfully it worked, and the strainer is incredibly useful because it passively collects items over time, but most importantly, string. With that running, I headed back home and started crafting the meshes needed for the beehives, and of course, halfway through I ran out of wood and had to chop down another tree. Classic. Again, out of script, for the stupid strainers, we had them there for like 40 days, they're still there, but last time I checked was like 4 days ago. They are getting items, but there was like 5 string in there and I had to change the mesh like 5 times. So I actually lost way more string than I got. So use the crook method, okay? Back to the script. Once I finally had everything, I placed the beehive, inserted the meshes and surrounded it with as many flowers as possible. After some flowers collecting, I reached 1 out of 20, which gives us a 20% chance per Minecraft day to get a bee. At least if I understand it correctly. It might be like 1% chance every 20 days, whatever. While collecting flowers, I got spit on by a camel. So naturally, I tried to lure Diamond over so it would spit on him too. And for some reason, it completely ignored him. Like, whenever I get close to the camel, this wasn't the first time, he just shoots me with his spit. So I was like, it's gonna be funny, I'm gonna tell Diamond, hey look, what's that creature right there, see? I made him go for it. He just started shifting around that thing, dancing there. Nothing. The camel didn't give up. He just didn't care at all. So, I don't know, probably, guess he just hates me. Whatever. With that done, I mined the infected leaves for extra string and even infected a nearby bush for later use. Meanwhile, Diamond was still cooking copper for a copper anvil. We need exactly 14 ingots for it, which are crafted into 7 double ingots. This anvil is a huge upgrade and also one of the major quests. If we make this anvil, oh, that's gonna be a new chapter, guys, okay? I went out to collect more wood when disaster struck. I got hit by a zombie and received the infected effect. See, this effect slowly turns you into a zombie. Normally you can just cure it by eating a golden or a silver carrot, which we definitely didn't have, so the only solution was for Diamond to, how would I say this, brutally execute me. But don't worry, I respawned immediately and was greeted by my own zombie. See, that's the reason I was in the hole, because if you die infected, you turn into one of them. That's also why I dropped all my items before Diamond killed me. Someone's pretty smart here. Well, back to progression. I crafted a sieve, which lets me sift dirt for seed, so we can finally expand our farm. Because so far, it hasn't produced a single piece of food. This thing's pointless. Then out of nowhere, a creeper just blew up our base. Like, what? He wasn't there and then bam, the base was blown up. Like, what is this? It's so bad. I hate these mobs. This actually pushed me to the next quest, which was crafting mud bricks because he broke the floor. Now, mud bricks are one of the best early games building materials. You make them by combining dirt and water, then mixing that with straw to get mud bricks. You place them on the ground and let them dry for about 30 minutes. Of course, while crafting them, a bear came out of the forest and nearly killed me. I panic teleported home using the waystone, but oh, the problem wasn't solved. I still had to deal with the bear, and well, after about 15 minutes and more deaths than I'd like to admit, finally found a bit of a rhythm and killed it. I always just jumped into the pond, shoved a spear straight into its face. While the bear was like in the middle, I grabbed another spear, shoved it into its face, and I kept running circles. Meanwhile, he killed me many times, but I somehow managed to deal with it. Thank goodness. This bear, it was so annoying. So annoying. This guy, he was standing near the lake since the beginning, and he was just slowly creeping his way to us. And, well, one day, the inevitable happened. So, I'm so glad these guys finally go away. I hate him so much. Okay, back to the script. Now I could finally get back to crafting mud bricks. I laid them all out and waited for them to dry. While that was happening, Diamond picked up the dried bricks and repaired our hut. He also finished crafting all the double copper ingots and made the copper anvil, putting us into the next stage. At the same time, I was finally finishing something from the very start of the video, the peel. This item required a bowl, which needed glue, which needed lime water and bone meal. Thanks to the quern, we could finally grind bones into bone meal, complete the glue, and craft the bowl. Once everything was ready, I handed the materials to Diamond and told him build the oven, because it looked way too complicated for me. I'm just lazy, so I was like, you know what, take the items, build it, go ahead. So he did that. So while he worked on that, I crafted a second beehive to improve our chances of getting bees. We can already see how it was starting getting a bit annoying waiting on them, okay? So I made another one. By the time I finished Diamond has already completed the oven. This guy, telling you guys, this guy is smart. Even if something has a lot of pages to read about, oh, this guy does it easily, so he made it. Now, to wrap things up, I mined a ton of dirt, with ton I mean like half a stack, and started sifting it through the sieve to get seeds, just like one of the quests suggested. But there we go, the quest is completed. Surprisingly, didn't even take that long. Now it was finally time to plant all of our crops. Since we don't have water near our tent, and you can't place water buckets in this mod pack, I decided to plant everything near our pond, where we already have a waystone set up. To use the space efficiently as possible, I tried crafting aqueducts, which are supposed to help transport water. To do that, I first turned water into lime water using flux. Then I mined some sand, put it into a barrel, sealed it, and let it do its thing. While I was waiting, Diamond completed a quest that required working with hide, using the one I got earlier from killing the bear. Once the mortar was ready, I crafted the aqueducts, but unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to actually use them. Such a pointless waste of time again. I hated, no idea how to use it. So in the end, I gave up on the idea, started preparing the farm normal way. With that, the farmland was prepared. I planted all the seeds, finally completing our big farm, okay? Big farm. Meanwhile, Diamond was busy making us a bed using the loom. This finally gave us a way to sleep through the nights. Shortly after that, Diamond died, and I tried to go help him, but instead, I fell into a cave myself while trying to make a parkour jump, so he just had to come and rescue me. Well, then while exploring the area in a search of tin, I ended up finding iron on the surface instead. And a few seconds later, I'm dead. A big cat killed me. So, once again, Diamond had to come and save me. And, guys, this whole thing, oh my, this led to a long and painful battle where we were standing on a cliff while the mountain lion, which killed me, wait, now it's a mountain, before it was big cat. It's a mountain lion, okay? No idea why I had big cat in the script. So, mountain lion was below us. We crafted so many, and we just kept throwing them down at it, and after a while, we finally managed to kill it. Took a while, okay? I grabbed my items and continued exploring for a bit. Not long after that, another mountain lion and some massive bird, look at that thing, what is that? Just started chasing me. No idea what was going on here, so I just ran straight back home. On the way, I found tomatoes, which I immediately planted once I got back. Meanwhile, Diamond discovered more copper and iron veins, as well as a bismuth vein. I was also finally able to harvest a small part of our farm, the one I planted all the way back on day 5. It took this long. We really need to start working on the greenhouses because this is so bad. But for the greenhouses, guess what we need? Beeswax, which means waiting for the stupid bees. While waiting, I decided to fill up a composter since it's required for one of the quests. To do this, I needed 16 brown items and 16 green items. For the brown items, I used wood ash, which was the easiest option. I crushed sticks into sawdust and burned it in a fireplace to turn it into ash. For the green items, I used ferns, since we have plenty of them around our base. With everything added, the composter was finally full. Now we just had to wait 4 in-game days for it to finish composting. At the same time, Damon was running around searching for salt. He died once, but also found in silver and lead, so that will be all extremely useful soon. With not much else to do, I crafted another beehive to improve our chances of getting bees. After that, I made a sewing table for working with leather, although we're still missing salt, which neither of us managed to find. And now it was finally time to mine tin. First, we needed support, which meant wood, and of course, we had run out of it again, so once again, I headed back into the forest to chop down a few trees. After I finished chopping down trees, Diamond told me, he just came to me and said, "What are you doing?" It's like, well, I'm getting the supports. Oh, supports? Yeah, we don't need those. It's in a ravine. I was like, are you kidding me? Why couldn't you tell me earlier? So I left everything I was doing, and instead, I had to start working on a rope. I crafted a bunch of knives and started cutting grass, turning it into plant string, then into fiber rope, and finally into a proper rope we could use to get down into the ravine. Once that was done, we headed out together to mine as much cassiterite as possible. On the way, we ran into a villager who was, he was selling 3 diamonds for dirt. Obviously we took the trade, like who wouldn't? After that little distraction, we made it to the ravine. I placed a rope and we started mining. On the way back up, I spotted a piece of chromite, so I grabbed it and brought it with me. Once we were back at base, Diamond started setting up a copper ingot, so he could work it on the anvil, because in this mod pack, you can only shape metal while it's hot. Now, explaining how the anvil works is a whole another story, okay, on its own. It's complicated, weird, and extremely unforgiving. You're given a set of instructions for each item, and you have to follow them with as few mistakes as possible. Otherwise, you end up with a poorly forged item. After a lot of struggling, Diamond found a website that helps him with forging, and he finally managed to do it correctly. At this point, I decided it was time to knock out some random quests. I started by crafting a sleeping bag, which required turning a lot of our string into cloth. Thankfully, we had just enough So after some sewing, I crafted everything and completed the quest. Diamond then distracted me by asking me to make a cutting board. Luckily, it was pretty simple, just a few quick crafts here and there, and bam, done. The next morning, I planned an expedition. And you know how things go when you plan, okay? So listen closely. To find metal deposits, which usually spawn at the bottom of rivers or lakes, and it also is part of a quest. So, since night had just fallen, I used my shears to trim nearby hedges for leaves, then infected them with worms to produce more string, because all the string we had was far gone when I was crafting the bed. So, with the sun rising, I set off on the expedition. Not even kidding, less than a minute in, I got dirty. You hear me right, dirty. In this mod pack, you can get dirty and this makes you painfully slow. So I had to literally crawl my way back home and to wash myself in the pond for a few minutes. Because of that, we crafted soap, which I took with me before heading out again. On the way to the lake, I found a few copper and iron bits, so nothing too special. Once I reached the lake, I caught some fish to complete yet another quest. After searching the bottom for a bit, I finally found a metal deposit, completing another quest. Mission successful. So I just made my way back home very safe, and nothing interesting happened, thankfully. Back at base, I broke the strainer to claim its quest reward, which I had just unlocked by catching the fish. This also unlocked a new quest for crafting a fishing rod, and of course, it's way harder than in vanilla Minecraft. The toughest part is the copper hook. To make it, I needed a copper rod, which thankfully, no thank you Diamond so much, we already had. So I got to skip a few steps. I reheated the rod, placed it on the anvil, and by following the forging guide Diamond found earlier, it was so easy. I managed to forge it perfectly on the first try. With the hook done, I crafted the fishing rod and completed yet another quest. Around the same time, our compost finally finished, letting us craft a seed ball and complete another quest instantly. After that, Diamond set off on a long journey, and when I say long journey, I mean it. This guy was going to find an ocean, so he can finally find salt, and I'm probably not gonna see him for a while. So while he was gone, I decided to craft myself another copper pickaxe. The process started by grinding and washing enough copper, then melting it in a vessel inside the forge. Once it was hot, I poured it into an ingot mold and forged it on the anvil, again using the gas. And with that, we are finally ready to go mine kaolinite, which we had found earlier on the surface near our base. It didn't take long to find the kaolinite since it was really close to the surface. I dug a quick tunnel down, mined a bit of it, crushed it in the quern, and just like that, we completed another quest. Meanwhile, Diamond finally reached the ocean, where he found the salt he'd been searching for this entire time. He made it back home safely, just as I returned from my mining trip. But that only solved half of our problem. We still needed graphite, and for that, we needed to find a very specific biome. So we geared up and headed out together on an expedition. After almost half an hour of walking, neither of us had any luck, and to make things worse, we ran out of water, so we were forced to turn back home, restock, and head out again. This time I just kept walking and walking and walking. After nearly 30 minutes, I finally found what we were looking for, a gneiss biome. Unfortunately, I was almost out of water again, so I had to turn back. I pushed it way too far, and about 500 meters from home, I completely ran out of water. Thankfully, Diamond rushed out and saved me just in time. While I was gone, Diamond had been working with Leather, completing yet another quest, and even better, we finally got bees. You don't even know how long this took, but finally we had them. After almost 50 days in this world, we did it. That meant we could finally start producing beeswax, which is huge for progression. I also planted some fruit trees using saplings I brought back from the expedition. Diamond then started preparing bellows, which are used with the charcoal forge to reach higher temperatures. He began by putting tree seed paste into a campfire, then mixing it into a bowl to make large oiled hide. With that, he crafted the leather and finally made bellows, completing, you guessed it, another quest. We were on a roll, and there was nothing that can stop us at this moment, and we just kept going. Because after that, I decided to prepare a full barrel of boiled water, so we wouldn't have to keep making it over and over again. It took a while, but it was definitely worth it. Meanwhile, Diamond wrapped up the remaining leather quest, and I joined him for the final one. Since it only required a sewing table, which we already had, I simply broke and placed it again, instantly completing the quest. See, we're just going. This unlocked several new quests about crafting warm armor for winter and cool armor for summer, which we'll definitely need soon, but for now we decided to focus on something simpler, making another giant charcoal pit. That meant chopping down a lot of trees. I crafted a few axes and we went to work until the pit was completely full. And it took a while. Once it was ready, we lit it and let it slowly turn into charcoal. With the charcoal pit burning, we decided it was finally time to go on a mining trip for graphite, the one I had found earlier. So we geared up and set off. After a long time of walking and searching, Diamond finally found the graphite. I made my way over to him, and that's when we realized that someone forgotten the supports back at home. Yeah, blame that on me. That meant we had to improvise. We chopped down trees on the spot, crafted a chopping block and made the supports right there, which took us a while. Once those were done, I started digging down while Diamond worked on crafting even more support, because trust me, we needed a lot. It took a while, but eventually I broke into a cave that was packed with graphite. I placed supports everywhere, and then we got to mining. After both of us collected as much graphite as we could, we headed back home. Once there, Diamond threw all the graphite into the sluice. After that, he went AFK on the quern, turning it into a pile of dirty graphite dust, which he then ran through the sluice again to get graphite powder. This completed another quest and finally unlocked the Crucible quest, which we immediately started working on. See, this quest will finally allow us to move into a new stage, but more on that later. To make the Crucible, we had to combine graphite powder, kaolinite powder and clay. Once we had enough material, we nabbed the unfired Crucible out of the clay and fired it in a charcoal forge. That completed yet another quest, and more importantly, it unlocked bronze and a brand new age, the kinetic age. Before we could actually start working with bronze, a zombie and a skeleton wandered straight into our base, and what followed was a solid 5 minutes of non-stop dying, running in circles, landing a few hits and immediately dying again. Just watch it and don't say anything about it, okay? I don't want to hear nothing about it. Eventually, we managed to kill both of them and reclaim our base. How do you even lose a base? This can only happen to us, really. There is no way. After that, Diamond crafted me a copper axe, and he also completed the quest for andesite alloy, yes, we had a lot of that. At this point, the only thing standing between us and real progression was bronze. But before diving into that, Diamond decided to craft a millstone, which we will replace the quern with. It's much faster and even better. It can be automated later on too. But it took a while to get it automated, but more on that later, you'll see. While Diamond was working on that, I focused on making bronze. This is done by alloying copper and tin together in a crucible. Well, this sounds simple enough. What can go wrong here? Well, except we had completely ran out of copper. See, that can go wrong. That meant going back to our very first mine, the one that had already collapsed multiple times and will many times later. You'll see. And mining every last bit of copper left in there. And somehow, yes, I said it, the cave collapsed on me again. At this point I'm convinced that the mine is cursed. There is no way it isn't, okay? There is no way. The second time. It wasn't the last either. After safely mining the rest of the copper, I ran it through the grindstone and then the sluice, finally giving me enough copper, or at least I thought so. When I handed everything over to Diamond so he could make the bronze, he told me we were still missing copper. So once again, I chopped down more trees, crafted more supports and went back to mining copper again. After processing it all, Diamond finally took all the copper and tin I had gathered and melted it into bronze. It wasn't all of it, okay? He took like half of it. He still didn't do the bronze anvil. He made 7 ingots, not 7 double ingots, so he still needs to get back to it. But even then, we still didn't have quite enough, since I was finishing up the last bits of processing. But while I was doing that, Diamond completed our final quest before the big milestone. And just like that, we finally unlocked the kinetic age. Once I finally had all the copper processed, the diamond was offline, so I decided it was time to start working on a proper house. That meant making wattle and mud bricks for the floor. First, I had to clear out the area and mark the layout of the house. Naturally, I ran out of mud almost immediately, so I had to make more. While the new mud bricks were drying, I harvested all of our crops and then started collecting dirt, because I already knew I was going to need way more of it. While digging up dirt, I came up with a little plan to deal with those annoying wolves, and let's just say, it worked perfectly. I just dropped some stone on their head and problem solved. After that, all my shovels broke, so I had to nab some new ones and get right back to digging even more dirt. Once I had enough, I crafted almost all of it into mud bricks and laid them out on the ground to dry. I also picked up the bricks I had dried earlier and used them to expand the house's floor outline. I placed as many blocks as I could until I ran out of sticks. So of course, it was time for another trip into the forest to chop down trees and collect more sticks, and hey, look at that! You see that? Day 67 already. Funny day, huh? When I finally got back home, all the bricks were fully dried. I mined them up and finished the entire bottom outline of the house. With the bottom floor finished, I chopped down some more trees and started working on the walls of the house. This involved collecting straw, clay and dirt from the area, crafting wattles, filling them with sticks and then coating them with mud. After almost 50 minutes of non-stop building, I completely ran out of clay and had to go on an expedition to find more. Before I left, Diamond joined me, and while I was busy building, he had been slowly working on the bronze anvil. He finally finished it, which officially puts us into the Bronze Age. I then went out to find more clay, and there was a lot of it. After mining everything I could, I returned home and finally finished all the walls of the house. With that done, I repaired a sluice I had broken earlier and spent some time terraforming around the pond to make it just a little easier to move around. Next, I started collecting a massive amount of straw, since I planned to make the roof out of it. Once I had enough, I crafted thatch blocks, turned them into thatch stairs and used those to start shaping the roof. After that, I worked on the house shields, which meant crafting even more wattles. With the shields finished, I could finally place the roof properly. Of course, I ran out of thatch halfway through and had to go gather even more straw, but after that, the roof was finally complete. We officially had a house. Sure, it still needs a lot of work, but it was a house. The first improvement I made was adding a proper trim, so there were no holes in the walls. This required an insane amount of straw. I broke dozens of knives just gathering enough, but once the trim was in place, the house already looked way better than before. Meanwhile, Diamond moved our waystone from the lake to the ocean he found earlier. We'll need flowing water there to generate power since we're about to get into the create mode. While he was doing that, I started working on the second floor of the house, because we can't live with just one floor. Naturally, I ran out of bricks again, which meant mining even more dirt. I turned it into mud bricks and laid them out to dry, only to run out of straw again. After yet another straw gathering trip, all the bricks were finally placed and drying. While I worked on that, Diamond crafted and connected a water wheel which we'll use to automate the millstone. This will let us automatically crush ores, meaning we'll never have to touch the quern again. Finally, that thing, it's so bad. It takes so much time. With that setup going, I headed back to the copper mine to gather more malachite for Diamond. When I returned, I mined all the charcoal from our pit and stored it in a chest. After that, I just covered the pit with dirt since we're not gonna use it anymore because we have a lignite near our base, which is way better than charcoal. With the pit filled, I went back to mining more dirt and also fixed the hole near the house. I even had some dirt left over, so I decided to remove part of the pond, which was honestly way too close to the house anyway. Meanwhile, Diamond finally automated the millstone, meaning we now have a fully automatic way to process ore chunks, no more hand cranking for us. Once that was done, I mined all the bricks I had left drying and used them to finish the second floor of the house. I built proper stairs so we could get upstairs and added windows to the walls to let in more light. Around the same time, Diamond crafted a solar drive, completing yet another quest. After that, I started working on an interior wall in the house, but before finishing it, I went on an expedition to the ocean where Diamond had placed a waystone earlier. I needed to link it with the one at home so I could teleport there as well. While I was on my way, Diamond sealed off a nearby cave because those pesky mobs kept pouring out of it, so it was finally fixed. And then he started crafting bronze tools for himself. Of course for himself, he wouldn't never do them for me. After a long walk, I finally reached the waystone by the ocean and activated it. From now on, I can finally easily teleport straight to the sea, so it's gonna make things way more easier. Once I got back, I mined more dirt and turned it into dob, which I used to finally finish the walls inside the house. With that done, it was time to move all of our stuff indoors. I chopped down some trees, crafted a bunch of chests, and then came the most boring part of all of it: sorting items. It was pretty annoying, but what can you expect from sorting stuff? I didn't do it that well. I just had like 4 chests, each of them for something similar, but it still took a while. After way too much of running back and forth between the tent and the house, I managed to move in everything. That was actually useful. I threw a lot of stuff away. Hopefully I won't regret it. There's still a lot of random junk around, but I'll leave that to Diamond. That guy, he made it. So he's gonna clean it. See all that? None of it is from me. He made the mess, he's gonna clean the mess. Easy. Next, I ran over to the lake to finally figure out how aqueducts work, and surprisingly, I figured it out. I actually did something. I placed as much as I could, but soon ran out. And I still don't know if I want to place all of them, because getting the moving water all the way to our house will take ages, and I don't even know if we really need it. What are we gonna do with it? So to finish things off, I headed into the forest to gather more wood. To make it faster, I used a bronze axe, which Diamond actually made for me way earlier when we first discovered bronze. After chopping everything down, I stored most of the wood near the chopping block and put the rest up in the attic. It was finally time to start working on more quests. At least that's what I thought, but it turned out that I did almost nothing. But I began by creating a yeast starter, whatever. No idea how that's right, which is made by putting water and a pumpkin chunk into a barrel. Now, that's going to take another 3 in-game days before it finishes, so while that was running, I moved on the jute quest. To complete it, I needed to craft a rope, a lead and a burlap cloth. But before I could even start, I had to get jute fiber, which is made by soaking jute in a barrel of water, and of course, that meant walking all the way back to the lake again, something I was already very tired of. So I finally decided. I'm going to bring aqueducts all the way to the house, meaning we will have access to the water from our house. Just like that, I got completely sidetracked from questing and started a full-on construction project. See, this is what I told you. I say I want to do quest, I start working on 2, and bam, I'm on another project sidetracked. And this project, it took so long, but it was so worth it. Okay? Just listen, because it was very, very worth it in the end. This meant mining a lot of stone and crafting a bunch of aqueducts. Once they were ready, I grabbed the jute fiber from the barrel and crafted everything I needed, officially completing the jute quest. At least one quest was completed from my questing journey. Well, next it was finally time to start doing the water tunnel. I entered from the pond and began mining towards the house. Somehow, because the tunnel was only 1 block wide, I didn't need supports. At least at first. The walls didn't collapse. That made things much easier. Of course, I didn't have to place supports every 3 blocks. At least until everything above me started falling instead. After a while, I finally hit stone, which meant less dirt and gravel, but now I did need support, so the ceiling wouldn't cave in on me. While I was down there mining, Diamond was working on the gearboxes for one of the quests, and I just kept mining. Then I had to run home to make more supports, run back, mine some more, and then repeat this cycle like 5 times. Meanwhile, Diamond, he was just trying to get us a sheep, which it did not go smoothly at all. But in the end, he managed to leash one with a lead and bring it home, locking it safely inside a small pen. But sheep are so broken, every mob is so broken in here. Whenever you get close to them and you want to tame them, get them to Earth, just fly away. Look at that sheep, what is she doing? This is just crazy stuff is happening with these animals. It's just going crazy out there, so getting them home, it's a whole other story. As for me, I was back and forth between the house and the mine again, but I was getting close. I Finally reached gravel, only to run out of supports again, as yes, another trip back home. This is the last one, I promise, okay? So finally, after a few more blocks, I broke through. The tunnel was complete. We connected the aqueducts to the house, and just like that, water finally reached our home. Project was finished. You don't even know how good this is. We finally have water in our house. It's gonna make so much things easier. Well, after that, I decided to gather more pumpkins because the yeast starter I made earlier wasn't working. Something went wrong there. So while searching, I chopped down some trees, and one of them, it somehow fell on me. Don't ask how. So Diamond had to come and rescue me, and I returned home. I was a completely broken man. Look at me, limping my way home. Well, turns out I still didn't have enough pumpkins, so I tried another approach. I poured 100 millibuckets of water into a barrel using a jug and added the pumpkin chunk, but it still didn't work, so I checked the recipe again, and that's when I noticed something. The pumpkin chunks needed to be dried, so I immediately put it into a solar dryer and left it there. While it was drying, I went once again to mine more wood. When I got back with a full inventory, I grabbed the dried pumpkin chunks, put them into the barrel, and finally, the yeast starter started working. It finally showed that it's gonna be done in 3 Minecraft days. With that running, I headed out for another wood cutting trip. I swear, this is the last mining trip of wood for the entire video. I swear. Meanwhile, Diamond created himself a pair of engineering goggles, which makes working with Create way easier. We also had way too many sticks from how much trees we were cutting down, so I decided to craft a storage dropper, which can hold way more than a single chest. I think it's around 1,000. So that also completed one of the early quests. After that, I started making more boiled water, since we were beginning to run low. While the water was boiling, I headed to the farm to finally harvest everything that had grown. At the same time, Diamond cleaned up around the charcoal forge and finished boiling the rest of the water. It took this long for Diamond to finally clean up his mess, but it's done, he finally cleaned up. While walking around the base, I noticed something strange. The leaves, look at them, they were starting to change color. I checked the calendar and realized we had just entered late summer. That means winter is getting closer, and we really need to start thinking about war armor. We're not gonna survive unless we have it. So the Diamond's been working on it for a very long time now, but we have only one sheep, so we definitely need to do something with that because winter, it's coming. So, while Diamond went back to the copper mine to gather more copper, I returned to the farm to plant more seeds I found in the chest. Some crops only grow in certain hydration zones, so I took a while to rearrange everything properly. But after around 15 minutes of just digging up seeds and placing them somewhere else, I finally had the whole area looking clean and organized. It took so long to get it done, but I'm so happy I did it. It looks so good right now. You don't even know how great the farm looks now. It was going pretty nutty over there and wasn't in the best shape. Once that was done, I went to help Diamond deal with a zombie, and then we started mining copper together. But this time, we used a... how would I put it into words? Slightly different strategy. See, instead of carefully mining, we decided to collapse as much of the mine as possible, letting the cave-ins expose copper that was otherwise stuck in the ceiling. And surprisingly, it worked very well. With hopefully enough copper, we made our way home, crushed it and dumped everything into the sluice. Then it was the usual loop. Millstone, sluice, repeat. It just takes forever. So while that was happening, we did a bunch of other things. Diamond cleaned up the ore storage and crafted 2 orchards, giving us way more space. And finally, the yeast starter, I still no idea how it's read. It's the second day I'm reading the script, still no idea. And I'm not looking it up. You tell me, I have no idea. So with the yeast starter I began days ago was finished, so now we just needed to duplicate it, which is easily done by just adding flour to the flour to whatever. So I crushed some wheat, added the flour, and once again waited. With the copper still processing, we realized we needed lignite, which is way better than regular charcoal, and we needed a lot of it, because melting this much copper is no joke. There was supposed to be a lignite deposit near our tunnel, so we started mining there, but after almost half an hour of digging around, We found absolutely nothing. So Diamond decided to craft a Prospector's Hammer, which scans a much smaller area than the Prospector's Pick and gives more precise results. While he worked on that, my yeast starter was finally done. I took a bucket from the barrel, made some flour, mixed everything into dough, fired up the furnace, and after a minute, we had a bread. Quest completed. Honestly, it took way too long to get here. Like, we've started this quest like 10 days ago. No time to celebrate though. I grabbed the Prospector's Hammer and headed back into the mine. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that this was the worst mining experience of the entire video. After carving out what felt like millions of tunnels, I finally found lignite. It took over an hour. It was so bad. I started mining it and immediately got poisoned. Turns out lignite produces toxic gases, and not even a minute in, I had to get out before dying. I rushed home, handed all the lignite to Diamond and told him to mine more if he needed it. I'm not going in that mine ever again. While I was mining the lignite, Diamond was smelting copper. Of course, we still needed more lignite. The Diamond tried going down himself, but the mine was completely unusable because of the gases, so we came up with a solution. Also, it's probably not a gas, but some sort of a dust. No idea what it is, but it's really bad. Don't like that mod. Diamond gave me these coordinates and I mined straight down from the surface, creating a chimney shaft all the way to the mine. This allowed the toxic gases to escape upward instead of killing us underground. With that done, I left Diamond to deal with the mine and decided to fix up our old tent. I basically rotated it 180 degrees, nothing fancy, but it already looked better. It's going to be destroyed later anyway, so it doesn't even matter. After that I went mining wood again, and yes, I lied last time. This might actually be the last wood trip. Or not, you never know. When I got back, we realized something was wrong. Our house was filling with smoke. Diamond asked me to make a chimney, so I built one and installed it through the roof. It didn't work, so I tried making a stone pump, which required another bellows. I crafted everything, hooked it up, pulled the lever, and still didn't work. Of course. At that point, I just gave up and hoped it magically fixed itself. Spoiler alert, it did not fix itself. Nothing ever fixes itself. Meanwhile, Diamond was finishing the bronze double ingots, which are required to craft the bloomery, the machine that finally lets us produce wrought iron. This was our goal from the very beginning. And now, look at that, entering day 99. Only one day left before the video is over. Diamond was frantically hammering the double ingots into sheets. We had less than 30 minutes before day 100 and we really wanted to make this. Then, for the first time since day 1, it somehow started raining. With day 99, we get rain. Thankfully the fire stayed lit because the crucible blocked the rain, but still, not exactly comforting. After a bit more forging, Diamond finally had everything he needed, and then he finally crafted the bloomery. And just like that, we did it. Next episode we'll finally start making wrought iron. With the biggest goal completed, Diamond tried one last time to fix the chimney, but still couldn't figure it out, so instead we climbed onto the roof of our house and looked over everything we built, and just waited for the day 100. And as the sun rose one final time, day 100 began. We did it! Hey, look at us, we survived 100 days in Minecraft's hardest mod pack, Hardrock TerraFirmaCraft 3. Well, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe because we're already working on 200 days. And, you know, while you're here, click the video on screen. YouTube definitely thinks you're going to love it.